Today we're going to be replacing the stock steering wheel on my 2003 Mustang GT with a new refurbished carbon fiber wheel from AZA Auto Wheel. As you can see, the leather on the original steering wheel is very worn down, cracked, and really just doesn't look good anymore. And so today, it's time to swap it out. So here's the wheel we're going to be replacing it with from AZA Auto Wheel. Now I'd opened this box before, but when it shipped originally, it was wrapped in a very nice case to keep it safe during shipping. The new wheel just looks great and the carbon fiber really pops. The first step, as with most car repairs, is to disconnect the battery. Once the battery is disconnected, you're going to go back inside the car, and on either side of the steering wheel you'll see these little plastic tabs, and you can just pop them off with a flathead screwdriver. Once you get those off, there will be a bolt on either side that you need to remove. Those bolts hold the airbag in place, and once those are removed, the airbag should pull away freely. Unplug the airbag and you can remove it from the vehicle. The next step is to remove the steering wheel bolt. On most cars this is going to be difficult to do and you might need a breaker bar to remove the bolt, but on mine it turned away pretty easily. Once that steering wheel bolt is removed, you're going to get your steering wheel puller. If you don't have one of these already, you can rent one from your local auto parts store or buy one. And I would recommend just go ahead and buying it, as it's a great tool to have in your garage. As you're setting up the steering wheel puller, make sure that the bolts go straight into the pre-bored holes in the steering wheel. If you strip or cross-thread these, you're gonna have to re-tap the holes in order to get the steering wheel off of the column. Once the puller is secure onto the steering wheel, it's time to put it to use. Take your ratchet and put it on the main bolt in the middle of the puller. Turn clockwise very easily at first, and the steering wheel should pop off rather quickly. Once the steering wheel is removed, you're going to go over to your workbench to swap out the electronics. There's 4 small screws that hold the electronics in place, and be gentle as you remove these so as not to break the plastic tabs. Remove the backing plate and then you're ready to start swapping the plastic pieces to the new steering wheel. I love this steering wheel because it's still the stock wheel, just without the old cracked leather like the original one was. Once you get all of the electronics in place, you're ready to start putting the wheel back in the car. Now just for reference, here's what the wheel should look like when all the electronics are back in. And you'll see here, there's the location of the 4 small screws that hold your controls in place. And we broke a couple of the plastic tabs and they still held in place just fine, so if you do, it's not the end of the world. Make sure to feed the airbag wire through the steering wheel and you can place it back on the column. Don't try to force it onto the column, it's keyed so it should only fit one way, and it should go on very easily. Once the steering wheel is back on the column, you're going to get your steering wheel bolt and put it back in its place. Now you're probably going to want to get a torque wrench and torque this down. I just used a ratchet and got it as tight as I could, but probably best to use a torque wrench for safety. Once the steering wheel is secure back on the column, it's time to replace the airbag. Now there's only one small wire that is connected to the airbag, and make sure you get the clip the right way. It should only go on one way. Again, anytime you're dealing with an airbag, make sure the battery is disconnected. Once the wire is connected, you're ready to secure the airbag back in its place. And remember, when you put the airbag back in its place, it's going to have some play in it and a little bit of movement. And this is to account for the movement that it makes when you're pressing the horn. Once the airbag is centered and in its place, secure it with the 2 small screws behind the steering wheel. Test the movement of the steering wheel to make sure that you can press the horn. Replace the plastic tabs on either side and you're good to go. Remember to like, subscribe, and thanks again to AZA Auto Wheel for sponsoring today's video.